Bibles and turn to the book of Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. We're going to focus on verses 1 through 10. And it reads, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after him, after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that is killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints." Amen. Amen. I want to talk to you today from the title, The Coming World Ruler. The Coming World Ruler. As we have witnessed in the past few weeks, in chapter 12, we were introduced to the 7 characters or personages that are unique to the tribulation period. We have the first 5 that were introduced in chapter 12. We saw that there was the woman, which represents Israel. We saw the great dragon, red dragon, which is Satan. We saw the male child, which was Christ. And then we saw Michael the archangel, which represents the angelic beings. And then we see the remnant of Israel in the tribulation period. So today we're going to be introduced to the Antichrist himself. None other than one who is empowered by Satan. When you look at what's happening and going to be happening in the Great Tribulation period, you might think that God has lost control of what's going on, what will be going on in the world. But God has not lost control of anything. For God, this is by his design and by his allowance that he is allowing that to happen. Right. Just like any time evil happens in the world, it's by God's allowance for it to happen. As I've quoted to you a number of times, Proverbs 16:4, which states, "The Lord has made all things for himself. Yea, even the day of evil." God has made everything. Whenever anything happens in the world that goes on, God is still in control of it. We see this individual that it rises up out of the sea. The sea depicts the people of all the nations. And this, if you see, Satan is energizing this individual. We don't know who it is. So no one should start saying who it is. Don't say it's anybody. It might be you. Right. For all we know. But I got it very seriously if it's you. But the bottom line is that this individual is going to come to power in the world. As we saw in Revelation 6, it talked about a white horse. And the one that sat on it had a bow, but no arrows were mentioned. It's dealing with the fact that the individual is going to rise to power, and there will not be one shot fired at all. He's going to be so mesmerizing because he's energized by Satan himself. You're going to look in chapter 13. I doubt if we'll even get past chapter 2 today, verse 2 in chapter 13, because there's so much in here that we're going to look at. Dr. J. William McGee, he talked about, he said that if God was to just send Satan to the lake of fire without giving him a chance to do what he does, with total, what looks like total control, he would say, God, that's not fair for you to let me do what I've got to do. Let me do and show you what I can do. God takes a step back, says, have at it. Satan's not going to even be able to carry out his plan because he's going to implode. God is going to do it. He's going to let him do whatever he wants to do. God is receding, he's retreating. The Holy Spirit is going to retreat. And then all of a sudden, Satan's going to have his way. That's why it says that there's a time, like no other time during that time, that wickedness will run rampant. We think it's bad now. It's not as bad as it's going to be. Oh yes, it's worse than what it used to be. And it's getting worse day by day. But yet, it's going to come a time when there's unrestrained evil. Imagine that, unrestrained evil. That's going to go on all over the world. And it says that it's going to be, except those days be short, no flesh will survive. And God knows what he's doing. He's going to let mankind, evil, wicked, unrepentant mankind, have their way, energized by Satan, doing what they do. There's no secret when you look at things now. Have you ever wondered, even now in today's time, you ever wonder, how do people think of that to do? It just makes you wonder, like, and that's now. There's still a restraining influence from the Holy Spirit that's restraining evil in a society. And you wonder, how do they dream up stuff like that? How do you lay awake at night and think of how to do certain things, how to murder certain people, how to fix concoctions and all that stuff to make yourself high? I don't get it. Who knew how to take a plant, dry it out, roll it up, and smoke it? And that wasn't good enough. Back in the late 70s and 80s, they would dip it in embalming fluid. Now, you know that's sick. What they call the Sherman stick. And then they'll sprinkle some other stuff on one of PCP. Who knows how to do that stuff? It just boggles the mind. But see, wickedness left to itself. That's why. You ever notice why it's not good to be mad at somebody? Because you can lay awake thinking about how you're going to get back at them. And you know you can think of some treacherous, low-down, underhanded things to get back at somebody. Right? But the scripture still said, be careful. He that digs a pit, you're going to fall into it. Look at the text today, what we see before us. During this time period in chapters 12, 13, and 14. Again, I want to give you a quick review. It looks back at the tribulation time through Satan's perspective. It introduces us to these characters that are prominent behind the scenes. It goes all the way back to Satan's war with God back in the beginning and takes us on through to the future, to the culmination of the age. It shows how God is going to allow, we're introduced today to the Antichrist, and then down the line we're going to see the religious world ruler, all right, the world ruler of the false prophet. Between the great red dragon, between the man of sin, Antichrist, and between the false prophet, is formed what is called an unholy trinity. Satan counterfeits everything God does. Remember when Satan was kicked out of heaven? All right, in Isaiah chapter 14, what happened to him? He wanted to be lifted up. He wanted to receive the praise that God received. So he told God, I'm going to exalt myself higher than what you are. God said, we'll just see about that. And he was kicked out at that time, but he still had access to the Father. He still has access right now to the Father. He has access, and he's condemning us every chance he gets. But God says, I don't care what you say. I don't care how you try to form it. They've still been blood washed. And a blood washed believer, you can accuse them all you want. Because a blood washed believer's sins have been nailed to the cross. My sins past, present, and future are already wiped clean. When I go into heaven, I go in with a clean case. I never will catch a case from God because he's already took the stain and put it away, and he doesn't see me as that anymore. What he sees the righteousness of Jesus Christ. Therefore, when you look at this situation right here, as we see that the dragon was angry in verse 17 of chapter 12, he was angry because he has no more access from that cosmic war, that heavenly cosmic war that takes place when he's booted out by Michael, and the angels are going to boot out Satan and his demons. No more access to the throne to accuse us or accuse the tribulation saints anymore. And John states, he says in verse 1 of chapter 13, he says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Now, if you notice that, and go over to chapter 12, verse 3. Okay, so we see that beast that rises up out of the sea. All right, and it's a wild beast is what it is. All right, and you look at chapter 12, verse 3, and it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head, right? But go back over verse 1 of chapter 13. And notice the similarities but the differences, right? He says, and the beast, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, right? And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Did you notice the difference there? Okay. Satan, the great red dragon in chapter 12, he had crowns upon his 7 heads. But in chapter 13, verse 1, the beast has crowns upon the horns, the 10 horns. Now, the 7 heads is believed by Bible scholars represent 7 successive world empires dating back to Egypt. You have Egypt, you have Assyria, you have Babylon, you have Medo-Persia, you have Greece, and you have Rome, and then you factor in the revived Roman Empire that is online to get that in place soon. And the revived Roman Empire is the reunification of the European nations. All right? And so it's going to, and that's everybody, we're at the door of that right now.
Right.
You heard of the European Union?
Yeah.
Anybody watch the news in the past 10, 15 years? Yeah. European Union? All right? Those are things we got to think about. All right? We got to think about that. And these are signs when we see these things, because we got to learn to see these things and say, wait a minute. That's what it talks about in 2 Peter. Knowing, seeing these things, what manner of persons ought we to be when we see we're at the door, the threshold of these things coming to be. So let me just issue a warning and make some things applicational right here. If you're messy, clean up. I'm not talking about a messy house. I'm talking about a messy you. I'm talking about one who always finding fault with somebody. I'm talking about one who lives a raggedy, loose life. You guys hear what I'm saying? Yeah. But oh my, would I not want to be caught if the Lord shut the door? And say, that's it. It's all right. You guys hear what I'm saying? Yeah. As a pastor, I got to say this, right? So sit there and get mad. I don't care anymore. Sit there and get mad because I'm responsible. All right. You know what I'm saying? I didn't take whoopings from nobody as a kid. I'm not going to take one from God, especially. My mother scared me enough. And God is bigger and badder than her. All right. The point I'm telling you is that these things are signs that are happening. And you can sit and think, oh, I got time. Who came down to you when you were sleeping? Woke you up. You may only be 20-something, 30-something, 40-something, 50-something, 60-something, 70-something, 80-something. Then you know your days are really short. But I've seen some 80-year-olds outlive 20-year-olds. 70-year-olds have outlived 30-year-olds. You hear me? All right? And did somebody come to you and say, you got X number of days to live? And don't think that somebody's going to come to you like the Lord sent the prophet to Hezekiah and said, get your house in order. You're getting ready to die. Before the prophet made it out the court, Hezekiah went into prayer. God stopped the prophet and said, turn around and go right back. I'm giving him 15 more years. I haven't seen the Lord do that lately. So the point being is that you may not have, or we may not have as much time as we think. So when we see these things happening, what manner of persons ought we to be? Because at any moment, it could be our end time. So we see this with the 7 successive empires. And think about empires that rose up during that time, during those times. When Egypt rose up, there was no other empire on the earth. Egypt was considered impenetrable. It was considered all-powerful. It was considered never to fail. But God said, that's all right, because I got a group of nomadic people that are not much of anything, have no military to them at all. But I want you to know, I fight their battles. And when I fight the battles, Egypt, you getting ready to go down. And when God got ready for Egypt to go down, Egypt went down. Because Egypt couldn't do anything to stop it. The same with each succeeding world empires. Assyria rose up. Assyria was wicked, vile, mean, hideous. When the Lord told Jonah, go tell Assyria, you go preach, you better repent. We know Jonah. We got some Jonahs today, don't we? Jonah got mad. He looked at the wickedness of Assyria and he decided, Lord, I know you're God, but these people are truly wicked. He decided, I'm going to go another way. So even though you told me, and he knew God is God, but he just like we sometimes think that we can hide from God. Like when Vicky was a little girl, you can't see me, you can't see me. No, baby, I can't see you. Where's Vicky go? Where's Vicky? Oh, you can't see me. Now, if she was still doing that, I'd be worried. But the bottom line is that we do that same thing with God. That's right.
That's all right.
You know when we throw caution to the wind? I said that before, nobody wanted to say anything. And I have to tell you, I'm going to answer for you, yeah? And we act like God can't see us. But God sees and knows all, right?
Yeah.
So Jonah ran, and God said, that's all right, I'll fix you. You think you can get away from me. And you cannot believe what God did if you want to. But I happen to believe that God can prepare a big fish. If He can create the earth and the worlds and the heavens in 6 days, and then on the 7th day rest, I believe He can prepare a big fish in order to swallow up Jonah and keep him alive so he can think about what he did by running away from who God is and what God can do. And then God said when Jonah came to himself, He spit him back up on the beach, right where he needed to go. And He said, now you go and do what I told you to do. Jonah had no problem going at that point. Jonah said, yeah, okay, I'm going to go. And then when Jonah got there, he preached to the Ninevites. Ninevites repented. Then Jonah got mad. Because he wanted to see him destroyed. But God had to fix him again. Now, why are you? He's going to prepare a gourd to come up over Jonah because it was so hot. It was like it was Texas hot. Las Vegas hot. Arizona hot. And He prepared a gourd to come up over him and shield him from the sun. Well, in the process, Jonah felt good, but then God sent a worm. He providentially commanded a worm to go kill the gourd. I hope you hear what I'm saying, everybody. He killed the gourd, right? And in killing the gourd, it died. Jonah got mad. And God said, now why would you get mad and be more concerned about a gourd than you would about 600,000 little ones who never and innocent sinned against me? God has to teach him a lesson. See, Nineveh repented. That's in Assyria, everybody. All right? And you just go on down the line. These nations God has raised up and He's brought down low. He can do it. You know that, right? You know what America reminds me of? And every one of those nations went through a time of hedonism. Hedonism is the lust for pleasure. Oh, America's right there right now. Where it's all about sports, it's all about entertainment, it's all about what we can get, it's all about making lots of money, it's all about us, it's all about doing what pleases us. And every one of those nations that had hedonistic practices, they fell into the trap that we are now falling into. We have fallen into. And God said, oh, I got to destroy you now. Because you don't ever rise up and think you're greater than who I am. And the Bible says righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And God says, if you keep getting that way, I've got to cut you down the side to let you know you're not as great as you think you are. I don't care how much military power you have. I control the military. I'm the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts is the commander-in-chief of the armies of heaven. And if I can control the armies of heaven, both good angels and demonic forces, I can control your human armies and make things not work. Anybody know what I mean? When God makes things not work? When He shuts you down here and shuts you down over there. When He said, no, you can't go, you can't do this. You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, I'm telling you something. Did not He shut down Peter, James, John, Andrew when they decided when they left the mountain? When Jesus said, go to the mountain and wait, Peter said, I'm going fishing. Oh, they fished all night. You remember that, don't you? And then you remember when they fished all night the next morning? The next morning they called out, Jesus was on the seashore, wasn't he? And then He said, hey, fellas, did you catch anything? And then John said, it's the Lord. Peter, who was just in his little undergarment part, he put on his undergarment, jumped in the water, swam 100 yards. Impetuous, impulsive Peter. But God is able to shut stuff down. In an instant. God is able to do that, and He's able to shut down anything. And so when God lets this happen, you see this beast, these 10 horns with crowns, these are diadems, these are These are ruling crowns. These are not the Stephanos crowns, which are victory crowns. Believers get victory crowns. That means that we've overcome.
Yeah.
I want a victory crown any day because I know I don't rule anything. And yet these crowns that the beast, that this Antichrist have, he's going to rule the world with these crowns. And notice it says, and upon the heads, the name, the 7 heads of blasphemy. Because every world ruler, dictator, nation, empire has put themselves in the place of God.
Yeah.
You remember a man by the name of Joseph Stalin, don't you?
Yeah.
In Russia.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, he thought he was the world.
Yeah.
And yet God cut him down to size.
Yeah.
I read a story about what his daughter said. When he came to the end of his life, he was miserable. And he was so wicked and so mean.
Yeah.
And even when he was about ready to die, he was still wicked and mean.
Yeah.
You would think death would cause somebody to come around and say, hey, I need to get it right.
Yeah.
But he was so hard, but God brings him down the side.
Yeah.
Hitler was brought down the side.
Yeah.
Many have been brought down the side. Nebuchadnezzar was owned by God.
Yeah.
And brought down the side. So whenever you rise up and say, I'm God, you just blaspheme.
Yeah.
Because number one, you're a created being.
Yeah.
And if you've been created, that means you've been controlled. You're being controlled by God.
Yeah.
Your life is in his hands.
Yeah.
He can pull it any minute.
Yeah.
He can say, stop breathing. What you gonna do? And do nothing else after that. The name's blasphemy. You rise up. You say God is not real. The Bible says the fool has said in his heart, there is no God.
Right.
Oh, that's a foolish thing to say.
Yes, it is.
Or if you look at it in the original, in the King James, it has there is in italics.
Yeah.
And that was just put in for clarity. But if you take the there is out, it makes even more sense. The fool has said in his heart, no, God. Not so much that there isn't any God, but the fool says to God, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
God says, we'll just see about that. I don't care what you say. And then again, we got to go back and talk to Jonah again. When we get to heaven, say, Jonah, what was it like telling God no? The biggest mistake I ever made. But he said, I've been looking down at you too. And I see you've been some Jonahs too down there. All right? So we see here, and the beast, this is an unusual looking character.
Yeah.
He says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. This is unusual, but if you have read Daniel chapter 7, you'll see this deals with 3 of the world empires that Daniel was familiar with.
Yeah.
All right? Of the 3 world empires, when he said in verse 2, the beast which I saw was like unto, didn't mean that it was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth was as the mouth of a lion. Now, the leopard in Daniel represented Greece, the Grecian Empire.
Yeah.
All right? Remember, the leopards are swift and fast, and it's the same word for panther.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
We just got through 6 largest grossing movie, Black Panther.
Yeah.
I saw you on Facebook with your African attire on, taking selfies at the movie in front of the thing. You talk about you were handing and all that stuff. I couldn't even find it if you had a chance. Calling your name T'Challa. You're crazy too. Hey, you walk around doing like this. But you having a heart attack trying to keep your heart back. Bottom line, no, good move, all right? But the bottom line, this leopard, Greece was swift, fast in terms of their coming and taking over the world, right? That was by God's design, right? Then it says it had the feet of a bear. The bear in the vision of Daniel represented Medo-Persia.
Yeah.
With Persia taking prominence. And it was big, and it was ferocious, and it was able to take over. If it took over from Babylon, it means that it had some power to it. At the time, and in the mouth of a lion, and the lion represented the Babylonian Empire. So when it puts here, when the vision John saw all three of these, that's some kind of ferocious character. That beast is going to come, right? That beast is going to come. Beast is going to come. He says, now notice this. It had the mouth of a lion, and that speaks of majesty and strength and kingliness, right? And the dragon gave him. You got to look at that word gave, right? Because the beast without, and the beast is from the bottomless pit also. The dragon is from the bottom, but the beast without Satan's power. That's right. Can't do it, right? You see the unholy trinity thing here? Just like with us, without the power of the Holy Spirit, we're no good. Now you do know what Jesus was telling Peter in the Sunday school lesson this morning. Those of you that make the Sunday school catch up with me, okay? What Jesus was telling Peter was that he said, look, okay, you did all that big bad talk. You'll never leave me. I'll die with you. That's easy to talk about when you're living, right? Until death is close, right? I really didn't mean it, Lord. When I said I was getting ready to die, you said, that'll never happen, Lord. And I had to tell you, get behind me, Satan. What Jesus was telling Simon Peter, he was telling him all those declarations mean nothing if you're not empowered by the Holy Spirit. Now you see, those are things you've done and said, and you couldn't even come through. So this beast is empowered by the great red dragon. The dragon gave him his power, his strength, his force, his might, his ability. When he's going to rule the world, he's going to be a ruler like no other ruler. And let me tell you something. The one that's going to come rule the world, everybody's going to flock to him. It won't be like the 2016 election. All right. And I say that because we still have a notion that people put themselves in office. God puts people in office. I can prove it biblically. You can't prove me otherwise. That's all right. You guys hear what I'm saying? God, if man can rise up and tell God, I'm going to do this, it ain't going. Then God ceases to be God. So this beast will have worldwide acclaim. Everybody's going to flock to him. He's going to do some things, but notice Satan gives him his power. Then Satan says, I'm going to give you my throne also. King James says seat, but that word is thronos. It's the same word that you find in Revelation chapter 4, where it's mentioned about 11 times, the throne of God, the throne, the throne, the throne, the throne. And when you look at this, he said, I'm giving you some ruling power. That when you rule on the earth, no one's going to be able to stand against you. And then he says, and then I'm going to give you some great authority. I'm going to make it so that no one can even come and challenge what you say. You won't have a Congress or a Senate. You won't have a Supreme Court. You're all of that in one. You will rule. You will reign. You will be the world's dominant leader ever. No other leader, ruler can even match what you have. That's what's going to happen. Man, I hope it's making sense to you. He's going to rise up at a time of chaos, establish peace, win the favor of the people, and then something's going to happen that's really going to win in favor. He's going to be mortally wounded. We're going to do some more of that another time, right? And then he's going to come back like, boy, he sure. See, you know Satan's a fake anyway. Because if Christ did it, Satan wants to try to do it. But you gotta understand that Christ died for real. Christ got up for real. And guess what? The whole Godhead was involved in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. God the Father raised him up. God the Holy Spirit raised him up. And Jesus said, I raised up myself. Because I'm God. I can do that. And God the Father and God the Holy Spirit and me, we all unified. Everything we do works because we're God. Nothing, and the sun won't come up unless we tell it to come up. The sun won't go down unless we tell it to go down. Satan don't have that power. God has to let him shut it down. You know, I'm having a good time, but all good times must wait until the next time. I'm telling you right now, I want us to think about these things. And I want you to understand that God is in control of your life, whether you let him or not. You have risen up at times and told God, you didn't say it directly to his face, but you said, I don't care. You may not have said it verbally, but your actions may have spoken it. And God said, I really don't care what you care about or not care about. You forgot who's God. God is able to do whatever he wants to do. Oh, I've seen people big, bad, feel invincible. God let them get sick. Not so invincible now, are you? You ain't rushing out to fight nobody now. Unfair fight, right? But you were bad when you had all that what you thought you had going. I've seen people that couldn't fight a lick, but if you took away their gun. They were like a wounded deer. Take that gun away, how big and bad are you? God is able to do. Trust me, there's coming a world leader. But in the meantime, you become the best that you can be for the cause of Christ. Amen. All right? Would you do that for me? You make the church a better place when we don't have to deal with your nastiness. You guys hear what I'm saying? We can then get on with the work that God called us. Amen. We don't have to deal with your immaturity and always getting your feelings hurt. Always crying like a little baby, walking away. I know it may sound like I'm being mean, but I'm not. Because most of the time we have to walk around with eggshells. Oh, I'm seeing that song. There comes a point in time when we ought to grow up. If eating meat offends my brother, I won't eat meat. Well, my brother better grow up. Don't take pride in being a spiritual midget all of your Christian journey. And please don't nobody get mad because I said midget. Because you know that's not politically correct now. Right? Don't send me no letter or no text message. You know I got a cousin. See, you proving a point right there. Don't send nobody to tell me, you know, you offended so-and-so. I'll reach the masses. Well said. Christ Jesus, the Lamb of God, slain from the foundation of the world, Is your name in the Lamb's Book of Life? Or if your name is not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, you will never see Jesus face to face until the great white throne judgment. Come to know him while you have time, right now, this minute. Put your trust in him. Repent and have faith in Christ. Know that he is the Son of God, he is deity, he is seated at the right hand of the Father, but also know that you are lost in sin and you need a Savior. And he's the only one that can redeem your life from destruction. He's the only one that can change your destiny. He's the only one that can make you a new creature in him. Is there one today